Hi there, this is Ronnie, coming at you with a video. Yes, it's December, the Santa hat is on. Live with it. It's been a while, apologies for that, but I haven't had any sort of topic to discuss. But I do today, because last night I finished a Call of Cthulhu game that I was playing in, that my friend Stephen was running, called Shadows of Evil's Past, using Call of Cthulhu 3rd edition. Nothing against current versions of Cthulhu, it's just that 3rd edition is the one that Stephen owns, so that's the one we were playing. So the basic scenario was a private investigator, myself, and a doctor ended up getting embroiled in a search for some missing people that's ultimately led to some cultists. Have to say, neither of us survived. The reason it finished last night. Neither of us survived. So yeah. Okay. So how did I feel it went? Well, first of all, I'm going to split this into 3. Sorry for the sniffles, by the way. Bit of a cold coming on. What did I think of the scenario? What did I think of the GM? What did I think of me as a player? Scenario was fun. Very old school. There was lots of information, clues. Oh, I went down so many blind alleys. But I'll get to that more when I talk about me as a player. There's an old adage that I've used myself when it comes to a mystery game. Keep the plot simple. Your players will complicate it. And we certainly did that. And it was a good scenario. Twists and turns. I was the victim of so many bad rolls. I mean, the worst thing was I had a spot hidden of 51, which for anyone who hasn't played Call of Cthulhu, it's a percentile roll. You try and roll under it. If you do so, you put a little tick, and then when you're upgrading your character, because it's not done in levels, when you're upgrading your character, you roll, but this time you're trying to roll over your skill to show that you've learned something. The idea being that the more you know, the less likely you are to learn anything more. 51%. And it stayed that way throughout the entirety of the scenario because it never flipping went up. Why? Because when it came to the crucial roll to see whether I learned anything from having spot hidden successfully throughout the campaign, I kept rolling under. Very frustrating. But anyway, scenario was good. It was very intense. Well written. GM. Hey. Hello, Stephen. Stephen's a good GM. He's a very exacting one. And I'd forgotten how exacting he could be. But he's a really good GM, and you could tell at times that he was getting himself, he was trying to get himself back in the zone because he hadn't run anything in years. And I haven't played that sort of Cthulhu game in a very, very long time, and my friend David was also playing, and he again hadn't done much role playing in a while, so it was fun. It was a fun and enjoyable scenario, and certainly the Stephen brought out sort of macabre humour when it was necessary, and But it was a good scenario, and he's a good GM, and I'm looking forward. He's very much wanting to run something using the Elite Dangerous role-playing game, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Because I think that'll be an interesting game. So yeah, good GM. Old school, good GM. Very enjoyable. Me as a player, yeah. Stephen decided, rather than the two players starting together, him sort of going back and forth, he did he was running separate nights for myself and David up until the point where our characters met, and that made sense in terms of the story. But I find one-on-one games very difficult. As the PI, I was getting a lot of information thrown at me, and I was making notes furiously. And as is off my wont, I missed a couple of things. And as a GM, you try to put equal weight to all the different clues. There's only going to be one or two clues that are actually important. The rest are all sort of red herrings and blind alleys. And you can't help but go down a few. And it got very frustrating for myself, because I realise my brain works better when I have someone to bounce off and get creative. So the first couple of sessions where it was just me and the GM were tough and frustrating, and I mean I was enjoying the story and all the rest of it, but it was frustrating. When we got to the point where the two characters met, me and David both, the scenario began to click a little more for me, because there was someone to bounce an idea off. And it worked. It worked a lot better for me then. So yeah, I think I'm a player. My brain doesn't work one-on-one. I found it very difficult. But that wasn't down to the scenario, it wasn't down to the GM, it's just down to myself and how I work best as a player. But overall, it was a great scenario. It was a lot of fun, and for all the existential dread and all the horror of it all, David and I managed to find a good amount of comedy in amongst it. Not all entirely appropriate humour wise, but we were all laughing anyway. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back soon with another video.